smart shoppers everywhere take time out to pause and refresh. And where else but in the fountain where they serve ice-cold Coca-Cola?
Oh, you creepy son of a bitch. God, I hate that dude. Can you change his name?
No, start us off.
Yeah, get going.
Well, it's okay. Anglo can just edit all this out.
No, I have to edit it. Fucking talk.
No, well, it's fine. BR can just edit all of it out.
Oh, my.
All right.
I'm not worried about his editing.
Hold on a minute. Hold on. Let me take a sip.
What?
When is this going to air?
This is very professional.
All right. Honestly, it should air. And I think the fact that we're self-aware of the fact that it should air is funny. So it should air.
Not is.
Anyway, what's up, everybody? This is the eMilitia, or, I mean, what's awake of it. And we got another guest. That's two guests in a row. Last week it was Pogue Actual. This week we got the one and only Empress of Meme. The S is questionable. I can't quite remember. But anyway, she's joined us, and we're going to talk about a couple interesting topics. But first and foremost, we got to know why the imp, as I choose to call her, and that's EMP, not IMP, because I'm not a sexual deviant, is
What?
why imp is the way that she is. So go ahead and tell us why you are the way that you are.
Okay.
Where did it all begin?
I'll begin.
Start at the beginning.
Okay, at the beginning. Like everybody else,
Big Bang.
The Big Bang. I was a statist growing up.
Gross.
Yeah.
I mean, normal, but gross.
I got to stay up late and watch like Bill O'Reilly, even though my bedtime was earlier.
Oof. Yeah.
I know. And then I left home and I didn't really care about politics for a while until, I don't know if you guys like know about the murder of Kelly Thomas. He was killed by cops.
Was it justified?
Is it ever?
No, he was beaten by cops.
I mean,
and like,
according to the official narrative, was it justified?
yes, it was justified. The cops didn't get convicted.
Mm. Well, you know they have a hard job.
It was six of them against one man.
They're just trying to get home safely.
Yeah, I mean, they got families too. They're just trying to lift the paycheck, right?
They don't make the laws.
They just enforce them violently, without question.
All right.
Yeah, I'm sorry. We automatically, like every single time, we just automatically go tangent of cops are trash.
I kind of was interested in what other people were saying about police brutality, so I got on Twitter. I just kind of searched his name, and I followed some of the people talking about it. Some of them were leftists, and some of them were libertarians. And one day I tweeted the words like "our government," and then I was mansplained into libertarianism. Somebody messaged me, and they were like, it's not our government. And they went on. And then they told me to watch some videos of Ron Paul and then to pay attention to him in the debates. And so I looked up some of the videos on YouTube. And one of the first ones I saw, the Republican debates in 2011, one of the commentators asked him, he's like, you were asked how you felt about if gay people should get married, and he was like, sure, I don't care what other people do. I was just like, wait, this is a Republican saying this? I don't understand. And he's like, so are you okay with gay marriage? And Ron Paul was like, I have my morals, but I don't really care what other people do, and the government definitely shouldn't have to have a say in it.
I think that very simple thought process, I think, radicalized a lot of people. Or oh, again, the path. Because they're like, oh wait, I don't give a fuck either.
Yeah, it was great, but he was just so like casual about it. He's like, sure, I don't care what they do.
Mm.
It was just very different. I always thought it's like you're a Republican or you're a Democrat, and he was giving this different perspective. So I bought his book and I watched him in every debate and just became completely obsessed with him. And
So would you have called yourself a Republican at that point, or were you just like, oh, something
I didn't
different?
really call myself. I didn't really know what I was because I didn't agree with like everything on both sides. But at that point, I probably would have voted Republican. But I don't know if you've ever seen the Jon Stewart, the show about the Ron Paul blackout, like the media blackout.
Mm.
He was given. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, go on.
No, never say go ahead. Just go ahead and say what you were
Like-
saying, because nothing's ever going to be fucking said if everybody's just like, oh, go ahead.
So he was given way less time in the debates to talk, and then like sometimes they would just go way out of their way to just avoid saying his name. He got, I think, like second in the Iowa.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember
Yeah, I
that.
remember that also.
And they were like, and Michelle Bachmann was pushed down to third place, and they said the first place, but they just didn't say his place. It was ridiculous.
Wait, when was this?
Probably like 2012.
12?
like,
Yeah.
I think
okay.
like that election.
I was making sure I was alive and I watched it, or I watched it on YouTube. I couldn't remember.
That you were alive when Ron Paul was in the debates? Come on, man.
I'm a young man.
All right, so
That's like 5 years ago or 7 years
I'm only 12 years old. Shit.
My mouth was way off there.
All right, I'm sorry. Anyway, yeah, go on.
It's okay. So I was a little bit like after that, I didn't really like the idea of not all of the candidates getting a fair shot. And one of my friends told me to read Lysander Spooner, and he was just like, the Constitution of No Authority, No Treason, I think the book's name is. And he was talking about how the Constitution it either allowed or didn't prevent like the system that we have now. And it was unfit to exist. And I was just like, wait, that's an option? Like no government? We can do that? And so I kind of, for the next few years, I didn't want a government, but I didn't really know how that would be achieved. I assumed through like a collapse or something like that.
So that's a pretty quick radicalization from being like apolitical to like, you know what? Fuck the system.
Well, I was like, when I say I was obsessed with Ron Paul, I was obsessed with Ron Paul.
I think amongst the listeners to the podcast, no one's going to judge you.
And so just like his unfair treatment, like it was, and I think it happened to a lot of people. I left social media, and when I came back, like everybody I knew was anarchist, and I think it had a lot to do with how he was treated.
So you've been... Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Were you about to say something? No. If you're going to say something, if you're about to make, like, just pile right through us, because we just babble, so...
I kind of forgot where I was going.
Okay, so now it's like 2012. You're totally into Ron Paul. Did you leave Twitter or social media before this or after this?
A little bit after, in 2014. I told BR a little bit about it, but like I was doxxed, and so I just ended up deleting my account and just got off social media for a while. Kind of just like, I was like really into criminal justice stuff then, so I started reading more books about that and not really digging into anarchy or anything like that until I like went back on social media. And last year, one of my friends, Rollo McFlugel of the Rollo and Slappy Show, he wrote this blog post called like How to Lose Government Weight Effectively or Efficiently, one of the words. And he talked about how unless there is a huge paradigm shift, like a Boogaloo type event or a collapse, would just lead to the same system or something very similar. And it got me thinking, like, sort of how we would get rid of the system, and that made a lot of sense just because a lot of people are so obsessed with the state. Like, they defend its worst actions no matter the argument.
So you like full on into the thought process that this is something that cannot be reformed. So you never had like the LP stage or
The party? No.
no, you never had any sort of like this can be fixed. It just like straight to this needs to fall apart. And
Yeah, well, I didn't know. I guess I didn't know how. I assumed that to get to anarchy, it had to be a collapse until, like, I guess I never considered agorism or anything like that until I read that. And then I was just like, okay, well, that makes sense.
All right, so I know we've talked about this within the confines of the eMilitia group chat before, but really, I mean, with a general anarchist society, what's the difference between that and agorism? Like, how is agorism a subculture of anarchy in general? If it's like more of a means to an ends as opposed to a pre-designed like system of culture. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think so. It's a means to an end. So, like, agorism wouldn't exist in like an anarcho-capitalist society because there would, like, a state has to exist for agorism to exist.
because it's so
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Like a thing you do.
It's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
socialism on the way to communism.
Yeah. Well, if you debated a socialist, they would disagree. But yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, for all intents and purposes, yeah.
It's the act of
it's
I don't know, I guess
counter
it's the act of getting rid of the government through doing everything you can to get rid of government services
Okay.
Like,
So
by
working
resisting
outside
and
of the
disobeying.
system.
now, like, this is an important point. This is significant. So when you're done with your evolutionary origin story, I think this is where we should come back to talk about counter economics and like how you can make the state obsolete through that.
I hope I can help.
You can. That's literally the reason we decided to have you on this podcast. So if you can't help, we're just going to delete the podcast.
Oh my
Okay.
god.
I will help.
No pressure.
No pressure.
So, how long did you take off from social media between being doxxed and deciding like, okay, I need to get back and start getting into the community again?
Wait, you got docked?
Yeah.
Oh my shit! Come on, man, keep up.
No, I was going to get a beer. I didn't hear shit.
Yeah, I made a joke and somebody screenshotted it and they posted it in a dysfunctional veterans Facebook group and they found me everywhere. Like,
The most
Instagram.
statist of them all, the veterans.
Yes. Well, I made a joke about like the king veteran, Chris Kyle.
Oh my god, Chris Kyle was one of the fucking worst.
I know. And it was awful. And it was like for 3 months, just constant harassment at my jobs. Like,
The ratings of this podcast are going to go through the fucking floor because I just said Chris Kyle is one of the worst.
But he is. And I
The
mean,
dude killed kids
literally,
without
like,
question.
and bragged about it in his book. And later on, it came out that he was just a huge liar anyway.
As most Navy SEALs
Wait.
tend to be.
How did it come out as a lie? I didn't hear anything about that.
Somebody said that he like exaggerated what he did in the service, I guess. I don't know exactly how, but apparently he over.
I mean, how did it? How was it? Was it proven as a lie, or was it just like?
I think so. Yeah.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
If I'm wrong.
The movie was pretty good. I mean, I'm a fan of Bradley Cooper. He's a cutie. You know?
See, the movie is what I joked about.
Oh, what was the joke? I'd like to know.
I said that they would have named it American Psycho, but it was already taken.
Oh shit! I bet that was funnier in meme form, but that's a pretty good joke.
It was horrible.
Uh,
Anyway, it
so-
took off like 5 years from social media, maybe 4 years.
oh damn.
Fuck.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a really
I
long
literally
time.
check this shit like every 20 minutes.
I got a lot of reading done and other stuff, just didn't really bother me at all. But then I just wanted to get back, connect with some of the people, see what was up.
Yeah. So did you? So you came back to like get back in contact with all your old friends, right?
Right, yeah. I
And,
didn't get in contact with a lot of them. I met like a newer group of people, and they're kind of like the core group that I've like talked to and learned from over the last like year. All of them are agorists. All of them are very down to earth libertarians, like not completely libertarian in
Sorry about that.
personality.
I was getting another piece of cheese wrapped in pepperoni.
Jesus fucking, we're a very professional setup.
We're never professional. I don't know who the fuck you're talking about.
People have come to expect a certain thing from us guns.
They expect exactly what we deliver every time, which is me fucking up the professionalism.
Anyway, so does that bring us up to date? Sort of just
yeah, basically just, you know, I guess I could tell you, like, I got into the propaganda stuff, like the police propaganda stuff from, like, I read this book by John Pfaff. It's called Locked In, and he talked about this guy Willie Horton, who during like the Bush-Dukakis campaign in the late 80s, there was like this prison that had a weekend release program, and it was extremely successful, like 99% successful. And this guy Willie Horton, he went out on the weekend release program, did a bunch of horrible stuff, and the media just completely blew that up, talked about how the program was a failure, even though it wasn't. It was really successful. And just kind of got me interested in that stuff. And then in 2014, there was like an article about Eric Garner. And I've posted this on Instagram before. Like the New York Times posted it. And it was just like, they ended the story by telling how he was overweight. And they never once said, you know, they kept referring to him as being arrested. And like he died during his arrest and things like that. And it's just like, very exonerative language, and it was frustrating, and I just kind of wanted to learn a little bit more about that. And so that's mostly what I learn about and read about, is like criminal justice stuff.
Yeah, and I'm really glad that you're starting to get into that, because most people they know you for like sharing the templates and stuff, but then getting to this propaganda type stuff, it's something that I think a lot of the community hadn't really ever heard of or considered. We know that, you know, media is usually biased against people who get killed by cops and stuff. Apart from, we've come to expect the leftist media, well, not leftist, but left media to be like, oh, you know, police brutality. And they were for a short time. But now, as you've pointed out, you have very left, like, websites, like, not Vox, but it was someone of that sort of area, saying, man dies during arrest and stuff, killed by bullet during officer shooting, and all this. These very obscure, abstract ways of saying a cop killed someone.
The precision of speech, yeah, like just like in the book, The Giver.
The way you can dissect it, the way you understand the language and are able to dissect it. It's like, yeah, I always knew the media is full of shit and they change stuff, but I can't look at it and go, well, you know what? This is what they should have said, or
the left. When it comes to police brutality, they're really good at like acknowledging and finding like problems, but a lot of times their solutions are like more government, more funding, things like that. I think
a committee.
Yeah,
you know what? I'm gonna be honest. I have literally never come to that conclusion, so I'm proud of you. The left is good at pointing out problems, terrible at fixing them. That's a good point. That's a really good point, honestly.
I think that with police brutality, they like to, and this is why they always bring up, and it's a really sad story, but they'll always bring up Trayvon Martin, even though he wasn't killed by a cop, because some of the laws, like the Stand Your Ground laws, were written in like with the assistance of like this group ALEC, and that is like almost like a country club of big businesses. So like, when the left talks about police brutality, they want to somehow always link it with corporations and how the free market is bad, and not like how the government is bad.
Yeah, like a lot of these situations that end up with people getting killed by officers, it's because of some stupid arbitrary victimless crime enforcement, such as like cigarette sales outside shop. That's what this major New York case was about, the I can't breathe thing, right?
Yeah.
Eric Garner, yeah.
Or a broken turn signal or an expired license plate.
Window tint, and then
walking down the street.
And then, of course,
I don't really know who said it. It could just be some random person on Instagram, but there's nothing so small that the government won't kill you for it. Like nothing.
Oh, absolutely not. And there's so many comments from bootlickers that say, like, gotta roll the term out there, but it's like,
it's your fault for resisting.
Yeah, like,
you should just let them
We don't make the laws, they just violently enforce them without question.
And enthusiastically enforce them. And yeah, it's such a disconnect. It's like, these are tiny laws that don't save anyone. Window tint and like selling cigarettes.
It's worse. It's worse to enforce them than it is to write them.
Yeah.
100% of the time. Like, legitimately. Come on now. Like, bro, oh my God, dude. I don't even understand.
They do help write the laws, though, like with their police unions.
That's true. They do help write the
worst
laws.
People to head up their unions, and unions are always the biggest obstacle to reform in most states. Like the police unions, they defeat concealed carry all the time. They want, crime in America is historically low, but it's in the best interest for police unions to keep Americans incredibly fearful. And I think that they use the media to do that. I think that they use like cop shows to do that. And
oh man, God damn! I don't like. Well, we could talk about cop shows for literally a whole fucking podcast.
Well, we can do it for a few minutes because it's all part of the seriously, part of the conversation. We're being conditioned by media of all descriptions. It's not just
I'm just talking about how much the eMilitia as a unit agrees with the fact that cop shows are used to
grooming us for authoritarian.
The cop shows are used to program the people. Exactly. Yeah. It's like, oh my God, it pisses me off. It makes me angry. Legit.
It's propaganda for how they want you to think the system works. You want to know, like, my biggest complaint about them? In a lot of these shows, the relationship, like almost every cop show, how it portrays the relationship between Eternal Affairs and the cops, like it's really adversarial when we know that's not the truth. Like they want you to think that Internal
because they're all part of the same union. It's the same brotherhood.
They all protect each other. But if you watch those cop shows, you would think
I'm going to be honest. Explain to me like I'm 5. What is Eternal Affairs?
It's like the people who investigate cops, like when they do stuff. Like it's part of the police. I don't know if it's part of the police.
So the government.
Yeah.
It's the police investigating the police.
Yeah.
No. So the government investigating the government.
In all these shows, they always show like.
Wow, that shit is whack.
Yeah, the cops always get punished in the shows. I think they want you to think that that's how the system works when we know it's not.
It's a well-oiled machine.
And I think a lot of
even their punishments in the shows aren't that bad. Give me your badge and your gun. And then they're back and they're like, oh yeah, I took care of it. And they're like, well, we're happy to have you back. You'll never do it again.
They have like, in the shows, they have dirty cops, and the dirty cops always get punished in the shows. But the main characters, even if they do like dirty cop stuff, even if they do dirty cop stuff, like it's always seen like, oh, it's for the victim, we'll allow it. Like you've got that image of the cop kicking in a door without the warrant, and they're like, there's a victim to save, and everybody's like, oh yeah, that's okay.
Well, as long as they're doing it for public safety, I'm fine with that.
I hate that shit.
I think
even as a child on the weekends watching like Special Victims Unit and watching them like take small liberties with shit, I would be like, wait, that's horseshit.
Special Victims Unit is arguably the worst of them all. They created like the whole fake like rape kit.
CSI.
Well, yeah. But like they created like the narrative that the rape kit testing, it was like a backlog implying that the cops just didn't have the time or resources to go through all these rape kits. But as we're seeing now with all these like progressive DAs getting voted in, the rape kits, like they're getting them done in just months, like testing all of them. So it's not like a backlog, it's just they're being ignored.
Well, yeah, they're totally being ignored. They're out there enforcing laws against drugs and tinted windows and broken taillights.
Lift kits.
Because those bring in revenue.
How small your fucking tires are. Lift kits. Walking across the street when a fucking light isn't shining in a certain light. Like, God, like if you really explain how these laws are, they inevitably, objectively sound stupid. Like, if a certain light isn't flashing over this road, it's illegal to walk over it. What? Are you kidding me? Jesus Christ.
I mean
jaywalking?
Yeah, exactly.
I seen a show that explained the whole term of jaywalking. And it started out because roads used to belong to everybody. You know, before cars were around, you had people with horses and just walking up and down the roads. Then cars came around. And they were hitting people. So they wanted to outlaw cars, but instead the car manufacturers lobbied the government and started all these propaganda ads. Jaywalking is like a derogatory term for a hillbilly. So they started calling it, "Don't be a jaywalker."
That's the dumbest
I think
shit
I
I've ever heard
remember
in my
hearing
life.
something like that. It's insane that
what
it's
was it like
still...
before cars were everywhere?
I don't like horses, so I was happy.
Sorry, I had to get the old man joke in.
Oh, no.
What?
I don't like horses either, man.
They're too smart and big.
They're scary as fuck. If you never
they'll
work
bite
with
you,
them,
they'll
they're scary
kick you
as
out.
shit.
Yeah, I'm
I've been-
Are
good.
you saying you prefer roads?
Dirt bikes.
Stay test.
If you need something that a horse can do, you could do it on a dirt bike.
No,
So you
not
don't
really.
want
Though.
roads, you just want dirt bikes.
I'm cool with that. Snowmobiles,
I mean,
4x4s.
I know the general conception is everybody in the South is a cowboy. That's not the case. I've never fucking worked with a horse. I remember one time I was doing landscaping for a woman, and she walked outside, and she had a horse with her. Like, this shit happens regularly in the South. Like, people just come up to you with horses. I'm serious. It happens.
Was the horse with her in the house?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't in the house. It was on her property. I was working on her property. She came up to me with the horse. She handed me the reins. She said, "Hey, can you watch Jake for a while?"
I'm like, is it gonna kill me?
I was like, I guess. I mean, I'm getting paid by her, so I can't like, fuck that. You know what I mean? I can't say that. So I'm just like, yeah, sure. I'll watch Jake for a while. Never been around a horse. This motherfucker's taller than me. Like, obviously, like 1,000 fucking pounds. And I'm just sitting there holding him. And some dogs start barking. He starts freaking out. And I'm like, the only thing I know what to say is, wow, whoa, Jake. Please don't fucking trample me to death.
Easy.
Yeah,
boy.
it's scary as shit, man. Damn.
My neighbor had oxen.
Oh,
Those things are
shit.
scary as shit. Yeah, two giant horns. He's like, "Come over, pet them." I'm like, "No, I'm good. I'll stay on this side of the fence."
So we go from cop shows
Yeah.
to oxen.
That was a good transition, honestly. That was one of the best ever.
In
Right.
the roads.
So, earlier we were trying to get like a short sort of teach me like I'm 5 lesson on agorism, because I feel like a lot of people, they know of it, they agree with like the intention of it, but they couldn't explain it to someone else, which I think is a great weakness in this community. And
Yeah, so
I think
we're going to go ahead and lay on you the responsibility of explaining to essentially the entire Liberty community the concepts of agorism.
Okay, so hopefully your
Go ahead.
millions of listeners will appreciate what I have to say. I'll do my best. For me,
I appreciate the million listeners comment.
for me, I don't think you don't really have to be like some like elite intellectual to understand agorism. If you practice the ideals of libertarianism, you're gonna be an agorist. If you're not practicing the ideals of libertarianism, but you're talking about it all day, you're kind of just like a pundit. So if you have a yard sale, do you report your taxes to the IRS? Like, do you tell the IRS that you've had this yard sale and you made this amount of money? If you don't, like, you're an agorist.
In that
Basically.
moment, yeah.
Yeah, you're practicing counter economics. And I'm definitely not an expert on this. If I'm saying things wrong, I'm so sorry.
And flea markets.
Yeah.
I don't know if flea markets are a thing in Ohio. I just said the word.
I don't live in
No,
Ohio.
we got them. Who doesn't
Alright,
have flea
cool.
markets?
Well, fuck, I don't know. Shit.
Um,
Oh, shit. I ain't been to Ohio. Well, actually, I have. But
I'm not from Ohio.
you're from Indiana, which is just Ohio light. All right.
I do not appreciate this. So like Cody Wilson inventing like ghost guns, that's agorism. Bitcoin, like buying Bitcoin and using it, that's, you know, practicing agorism.
So
So like if you read some of Kongin's work, there's like tons of definitions that he gives. So basically, like agorism requires a state to be present and as a form of like peaceful revolution.
Okay. Yeah, exactly. All right.
It lies
So
at the intersection of entrepreneurship and disruption.
Well, like you said, it's a means to an end.
Yes.
All right.
Whether that be anarcho-capitalism or volunteerism, I don't know if I said that right, but any of those things.
So my layman takeaway is it's circumventing government regulation in a way that an entrepreneur sort of would approach doing so.
If he wasn't coerced by violence into not doing it.
Or if he didn't give a fuck about that.
So essentially, agorism is just what normal people would do without the presence of government.
No, I think it's more of making the effort to go
subvert
out of
the
your
state.
way to find out ways to do things that doesn't support the government.
Well,
Strangling them economically and putting them out of business.
Well, say I was born under a rock and I lived under that rock my whole life, and then all of a sudden I came out from under that rock and I decided to open up a business because somehow I knew what the fuck that meant. And I opened up a business and I didn't report my taxes. I would be agorist, but I wouldn't be actively trying to evade government involvement, and I would still be agorist.
Okay.
Correct.
My point is, as the whole eMilitia's point is, and literally everything they do, the government is not essential to the functionality of society. AKA, agorism is just what natural scenarios would play out if people just decided to trade together.
I think a really good example of it, and it's used all the time, is Uber. So like I don't know how many people developed Uber, 1 or 2 or whatever. They developed
Some
an
fucking
app.
genius.
They didn't ask permission. They just developed this app where people could order a car to come pick them up. And it subverts, you know, like the taxi medallion things, which I hear are freakishly expensive. Like a huge racket, because like they only give out so many, and each taxi medallion it gets more expensive if there's like less of them. So when Uber came around, like it was a huge threat to government. That's why they tried to shut it out of a lot of cities.
Yeah. And you know what? Over in Europe, wait, what about London?
I think they've successfully, well, not successfully, that's a strong word, but they've done it in London. I think they've stamped out Uber and Lyft.
Hey,
Let me fact check that. But
Guns and Guillotine's girlfriend. I don't want to dox you on a.
Oh my God.
What was the situation like in Spain with Uber?
So the taxi drivers had to pay a fee to the government to get their license to be a taxi driver and get certain insurance to be able to drive people around. But Uber didn't have to do that. Uber just paid the app. So these taxi drivers were losing money where Uber was just gaining money because Uber didn't have to pay that fee to the government.
So what did the government do?
I can't remember. I quit keeping up with it.
Okay.
But Uber is still there. So
But hindered.
I don't know.
I think
But
that's
know
what they
that
did in New
the
York.
taxi
too.
drivers in Spain went on strike for a while and nobody was taking an Uber. Uber drivers and taxi drivers like fist fighting in the streets and shit.
Shit.
Yeah.
Lit.
Well, I think that's pretty much everywhere in the States. You have to buy a permit to run a taxi and pay
Which
the
is
extra
which is
taxes.
horseshit. Like, why should I have to buy a fucking government license to decide that I want to drive Hingham to his fucking job for
I think
$5?
you have to buy a separate license, like a chauffeur's license, and in certain places, like the medallion. And those can be like, I think even up to millions of dollars to get
You
those.
know what? I'm gonna be honest. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about when you say medallion.
And well,
Oh,
at least
you
you've
didn't really
never
know
heard of
what I'm talking about when I say
Dude.
medallion. I just think it's like maybe what they call like their certification or something.
I'm in South Carolina. I see a taxi maybe once a month.
I don't know that I've ever seen a taxi.
yeah, I don't see them that often.
I see Uber all the time.
Yeah, I
think
see Uber a
New
lot.
York
Yeah, I
use
see
Uber.
Uber and Lyft all the
The
time.
number of people who could
I
drive
mean-
for Uber.
But yeah,
The
like
amount
around
of times
here,
I get drunk, I use Uber a good bit. To BH.
you have to buy a taxi license to be able to just pick someone up on the street.
I think like a chauffeur's license. I know, like in my state, we have
Well,
that.
Yeah, see, you don't need a chauffeur's driver's license to be able to drive a taxi, but the taxi company has to pay a license to operate as a taxi. And then they have what they call livery, which is like limos, and it's like light taxis. Those taxis aren't allowed to pick you up on the street. You have to like call them and arrange ahead of time.
I think that's similar.
So
to how
it's
it
one of
is
those
in
things.
Spain.
Well, if they see anyone except the taxi company's car picking people up, that's a way to ticket them and fine them. And then where I live, there was like a corruption ring where Yellow Cab was paying off city officials so that other taxi companies weren't allowed to get the permit.
Yep, sounds about right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think there's this Tom Woods. There's this Tom Woods episode about agorism, and he talks about how, and Konkin did too, like you do things like Uber and homeschooling and home births was one of them, where they're illegal and doing them is practicing like counter economics, but eventually they become so it's like unprofitable to prevent these things, so the government starts to allow them.
Which I think making yourself unprofitable to be governed is also agoristic, but I mean generally ANCAP, no, not ANCAP, but like anarchist as well. Like, you know, homesteading, just anything you can do to reduce your amount of involuntary dependence on the state.
I think like last year maybe.
Am I making sense?
Yeah, I think
Just
like
about.
last year.
Okay, cool. All right, good.
Last year, this article came out that said the tax gap was like maybe $4 billion or $4 trillion, and it was getting like way too expensive for them to hire auditors.
Oh,
Which
no.
is that's pretty cool.
What a horrible time to be alive.
Some woman, she got ratioed for it, but she like tweeted out the link like to get maybe like sympathy for the government, and people were just like, yeah, no, we don't care. This is good news.
Oh fuck yeah! I mean, anything that reduces their capability that's an agoristic win. You know?
Yeah. I mean, you know, we all have the same goal. I just think a lot of people don't understand the word itself.
Yeah, and
Agorism,
So now
by the
this
way.
is,
That's
like,
the fucking word.
counter-economics, basically.
so this
Alright.
this leads quite nicely into some of the questions I've got for Empress.
Oh.
So
Well,
So-
something I took note of about her, talking about her as if she's not in the room right now, specifically was the fact that she was not pro Boogaloo.
yeah, and I think I've got that's one of my questions too, and I think this is a very good topic for all of us to discuss because I'm pretty sure we're all on the same page.
I didn't realize
Yeah.
you were
I think we talked
anti-Boogaloo.
about it before. None of us are pro Boogaloo because we understand what the fuck that means, and thousands of people are going to die, and thousands of people that we don't want to die are going to die.
Yeah.
But
So
And
let
I
me.
Sorry. I was gonna say go ahead, but I'm not. I'm just gonna
There you go. Just learning.
I think like there really does have to be a huge paradigm shift for something like a Boogaloo to be successful. Right now, like
paradigm is a big word.
we a change of mind. Like everybody has to change their minds. You know, like we spend all day telling people why they should be free, and they spend all day telling us why they shouldn't be free.
Yeah, it's the indoctrination's real. We talk about that a lot. I feel like I say the phrase, we talk about that a lot, but we do talk about how we talk about that a lot.
Oh my god.
There's like a I don't know.
But this is definitely one of those times. Like indoctrination is fucking real, my guy.
It really is.
And
it's Stockholm syndrome. I think like basically it's like a culture of despotism, and we've seen it a lot of times in history. Like
despot, two good words in a row.
Sorry, like
I'm gonna have to throw in words like vitriolic, caustic.
Do you know what those?
Like a very big word. Okay, we live in a culture of big government good.
Big government good, yeah.
I'm sorry.
I agree.
That was rude.
I mean, I don't agree. I don't agree that big government is good, but I do agree that that's what society's perception is.
Just let it get on with it. Oh my god!
I almost fucked myself up. I had to make sure. You know what I mean? I got an image to upkeep here.
And historically, the government, like, we have these rights, but when the government violates them, people don't really care. Like internment during World War II and the suspension of habeas corpus. And I think all the government has to do is just say, you know, like we have secretive information, and we've learned of this credible attack that's going to happen. We're going to suspend the Constitution. I promise it'll come right back. And people, if they will do it. And I think if something like the Boogaloo happened, if you don't shrink the government through agorism, like it's not going to be successful at all.
So you're saying you're using agorism to help change people's mindset in a hope that when there is a collapse, that people will already be preconditioned to want to take personal responsibility and realize that they don't need the government to live their life.
I think it's more like you practice agorism, you make it unprofitable to be governed, you replace these things that the government does with private institutions. So by the time a collapse happens, if it happens, it's going to be so small and insignificant that people aren't going to notice.
Hey, that's going to take a lot of work.
Well, but we're getting there. I mean,
I get that. My thing is, I think the collapse is going to come before the paradigm shift comes.
Yeah, it's going to happen before we're ready. Absolutely.
Like I don't think that people are going to be ready. The economy is going to collapse. People are going to start starving, and then fighting is going to start to take off. And then they might untrust the government, or maybe who knows? Maybe they'll be running the government asking for help. Oh, you guys should be feeding us.
All right, so let me help us find our feet here a little bit. So I was going to jump in and frame this with so the question was, can you get Empress to explain her thoughts on the Boog? And I agree with her already, but more need to hear it. That's poor English. So
more need to hear. Yeah, I agree.
Big government bad. Agree. And so what I wanted to say was, I think a lot of people view the eMilitia as like bloodthirsty, like let's kick this thing off and really get into it. But I think we're.
Wait, what'd you just say?
I don't think you guys are. You have Anglo to center you.
Oh yeah, we do. Well, he's anarchist now, so I mean,
yeah, all bets are off. But I think all of us really follow the same thought process of agorism, which is we would much rather see a peaceful revolution where the government is just phased out. And I think there is a possibility, because something I often talk about is the individual, as technology improves, the individual's more and more capable. Like an individual now can produce things within the comfort of their own home that a person 100 years ago couldn't fucking dream of manufacturing.
Exactly. Speaking of which, I just got my 80% jig in the mail.
Yep. I mean, 100 years ago, you'd have to have
For
like, a
legal
whole-
reasons, I did not.
I own no such device.
Yeah, I've never even heard of it. What is that?
Were
Well,
you quoting just now?
Was I what?
I said, who were
But
you
hey, 100 years ago, people didn't have what they have now.
Hanging, you
And they
just
lived-
interrupted the lady.
quoting? It's okay. I wasn't saying anything important. Go ahead.
And they lived with less government than people do now. People have more things and they have more capabilities, and yet they still ask for more government help.
Yeah, I mean,
Back then,
shit, 200 years ago, if somebody was like, "Hey, can I have some help buying groceries?" We literally probably would have fucking killed them.
What?
I don't know about that.
I don't know about that.
Okay, not if they were just like, "Hey,
Everything I
you
pay for
personally,
government.
will you help me buy groceries?" But if they were like, "The government should give me your
yeah.
money to buy groceries," we would have been like, "Okay, somebody grab the tar," you know. But now we're like, "Yeah, it's cool, sure." I mean, safety nets and everything. Like, I don't think people should abuse it, but if they end up in a tight spot, they should be able to.
And then you say, well, most of the system's abused, and they go, I know. I know it's abused. But
They say I know about
I still think we should
everything.
have it.
Just say, well, I'll just abuse it too.
They say no about everything. Like, the government is inevitably corrupt, and they're like, yeah, I know, but
I'll just
Trump's
vote
the
for
best
someone
president we've ever had.
So,
So,
so as I was saying, I think same thing with preferring a peaceful revolution and seeing the potential possibility of that. But I think it's our cynicism kicking in, where we're like, we'd rather be prepared for a horrible, bloody one, and then hope it turns out to be an agorist phasing out the government revolution.
Being prepared for a Boogaloo is a little different than like actively wanting it to happen.
Yeah,
I agree. Yeah.
That's why I don't refer to myself as a collapsitarian or an accelerator. Stupid, personally. Like,
I think accelerationists are dumb. I mean, goddamn, like, we're probably gonna die. So, fuck. Like, chill, bro, chill. I want
What?
chickens before I die. Fuck.
I mean,
I said I want chickens before I die, and they're trying to speed this shit up. Like, I just want to have my chicken coop, and then I can die. Okay.
that's fair. But I have a different.
Scrambled eggs.
I do believe.
But at the same time, being the old man in the group,
Yeah.
I would like to see.
I'm at peace with my mortality.
I want my social security check.
I was gonna say I would like to see change before I die.
Too late. It's gonna happen. You're gonna die, Mister. I'm 67 years old. Mister,
You know the whole
Mister,
thing,
my
if,
kids have kids.
If there must be problems, let them be now. That's so my kids can live free.
Never heard of it. Sounds like an old people thing.
Oh
It
my
is.
God. Certainly not a baby boomer saying.
Mm.
If there are problems, let them be in the far future, so my kids know it and I'm dead.
I think it's the opposite of that.
Yeah. If there are problems, let them be in the future, because I don't fucking have kids yet. Chill.
I don't want to pay for them.
I mean, like, I don't want to see a collapse, and I don't want a bunch of people to die, which will happen. But at the same time, I would like to see some resolve before I kick the bucket. And as old as I am, that could be any day.
Yeah. What are you, 60? You turned 67 this year?
73.
73?
73. I'm already collecting Social Security.
Oh, shit.
Oh my God. So, I don't know. Anyone else want to add to that? Like, kind of like.
You a cool boomer?
No, he's a boomer, full blown, yeah.
He makes good memes. He's not. A
He
boomer.
does. For a boomer.
I'm not that old. I'm not a boomer. I'm Gen X.
Okay.
For a boomer, I see Hangum's memes and his comments. Damn, his comments, his captions. I'm like, yo, that is not a boomer caption. Shit. That's a good caption.
It's probably why I'm on shadow ban now.
Yeah, that's exactly why. You can't make good shit.
I
Zuck
haven't
don't
been
want
shadow
that.
banned yet.
What?
I think it's because all the cop stuff makes me seem leftist, so I'm safe.
Yeah, I'm gonna post that meme I made about you, and then you'll be shadow banned in 24 hours.
I swear to God, I'll be so upset.
I have the perpetual shadow ban, so I just went private, and I was like, you know what? I don't feel like dealing with this shit, dude.
It's kind of like the inauguration, though. You have to be shadow banned at least once.
Yeah, well, I'm shadow banned eternally.
Sometimes I'll post something and I'm just like, this has to be it, and it just never happens.
No, it happened randomly for me, dude. Like literally, one post got deleted, and then every time I checked Instagram for like 3 straight days after that, I got a notification that either a comment or a post was deleted, and now I've never been free since.
I always check like the cop speak hashtag because apparently I'm the only one who uses it, except for one person a really long time ago, and my stuff always shows up. So I hope
That's
that's
nice.
Yeah. Nice.
It won't happen for long. How many followers do you have?
Like 2,500 or something.
Yeah. Oh,
Yep.
you're probably good for another 6,000.
I was shadow banned from like 1,800 up to like 3,000.
All right.
I had really slow growth for a long time because of it. And then I was good for a minute, and then I made a meme about the Philly cops being shot. And as I was making it, I knew the shadow ban was coming, but I'm like, fuck it.
Yeah,
All right.
memes about dead cops really hit you hard.
Well, mine was the fact that I was kind of sad that they weren't dead.
Exactly.
What's Gramps' favorite hashtag? Dead cops make my dick hard.
Yeah. I think Whiskey's too. I think Whiskey made that one. I'm not sure though.
Okay. And then there's Officer Pedo too.
Yeah, that's definitely Gramps. That's Gramps all the way.
I'm so not surprised he's always shadow banned.
I think you coined that one. Savage, dude. Fucking A.
Okay. Before we move on to like questions and answers and stuff,
No.
I still want to know the Empress of meme. What got you into memes? Was that pre-doxing, post-doxing?
I only started doing memes like in December.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
My name is like somebody said impressive meme, like the word impressive. I was just like, hey,
I would agree. Yeah,
that'd be like a really good username.
I agree.
It was just like
Kind of cocky.
Yeah, a little bit pretentious. You know, it's kind of like naming your kid Thor or something like that, but otherwise cool.
The name fits.
She lives up to it. There's some pretty solid templates.
Yeah.
I mean, we're well equipped in this community.
I think you changed how most of us do it. Like a lot of people used to protect their templates. And I think since you've been on, I see less watermarks. I don't use them as much.
I still use watermarks just because I'm private now. So fuck it. I need the exposure. Otherwise, I'll never gain a follower.
Yeah.
Some of the people's watermarks are outrageous and they drive me crazy. But if they're
Too
subtle,
fucking bad. I'm not stopping.
yours are outrageous. Some of them are really ridiculous.
Like a quarter of the meme is a watermark.
Yeah.
You're like,
Yeah, I try to be polite about it. Like I try to put it small and in the corner and everything. But
Your username is part of the name. It's too big.
yeah, I agree.
that's me, but that's fine.
But also, she started a trend where more people, if they make their own template, they are now sharing it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
you
I've
see that
seen
all the
that
time in
a
the
couple
community
times.
where it didn't used to be like that.
Yeah, I've seen that a couple times, and I genuinely think that's because Empress of me. I
Me too.
genuinely do. It's just impressive, you know?
We tip
Making
our hats
waves.
to you.
Making waves, and an account that's only got 2,500 followers. That's pretty cool. I remember when I had 2,500 followers, about a week after I made my account.
Oh my god, shut the fuck up.
That's kind
Did
of
your
fun.
head fit inside your hat back then?
My dick didn't.
Anyway, back in December, when I started memeing, I have like a group chat of friends that I've had for a while, and we would pretty much just like make really niche memes that only each other understood, and we'd find cool templates and use them, and I would was talking to one of my friends, not in the group chat, Sal, the Agorist, and we made meme templates from the Joe Rogan show with Alex Jones, and they like went crazy viral. And I was just like, this would be kind of cool to like share different templates that I make or I find with other people, and nobody else is really doing it. I thought, nobody would really follow an account like that. I'd stop at like 40 followers, but apparently, like, there was a need for it, and
there's a niche for it, definitely. I mean, I regularly use the templates you post.
If I saw one more person using, and I'm sorry if any of you did this recently, like the Drake meme, like I think I would go crazy. There's so many cool.
Damn, I haven't seen that one in a while.
I still see it sometimes, but
I'll just go ahead and say it. Anybody listening to this podcast hadn't followed Empress of Meme. She got good templates. If you're into the memes, you should probably go ahead and give her a follow.
The Drake meme is dead.
And also the Drake meme is dead. I mean, I regularly use, I live meme. Like I don't keep all templates I see. If I see a template and I immediately think of a meme that I could create from it, I'll go ahead and screenshot it and I'll turn it into a meme right then. So I mean, it's hard. Also, something else, like for anybody listening, if you own a Politigram or something like that, and you want to make memes, political memes or any memes really, the subreddit meme templates, I think it's called. I mean, I'm sure if you looked up meme templates, you'd find it. And they post lots of different blank meme templates, or people post memes and ask for the meme template, and a lot of people will comment with like an image or a link to the blank template. So that's good. That's where I find a lot of my shit too.
If you find a meme that you like you like the template, even if the meme's stupid, you can reverse Google search it. Like,
yeah.
I don't know if you guys know how to
For
do that.
a lot of times I just edit it myself.
Well, DuckDuckGo.
Yes. Sorry, DuckDuckGo. I use that. It's just
I think you got me using it.
I just need to get away from saying Google.
Yeah, I edit a lot of the memes myself. If I find a meme that I like or a meme template that I like, I'll edit it. I'll Photoshop out all the text and watermarks or whatever, and I'll use the template for myself.
Sometimes I can't find it, and I'll just like recreate it. Like I'll find the pictures that they use it and make it myself.
I've done that a couple times.
Because I really like
I've done
it.
that.
I started the template archive. I used to use a Google Doc, like Docs thing. I don't know what you would call a singular Google Doc document to do it, but they wouldn't like save. It was really annoying, and you had to like scroll, and it couldn't sort them. And then Babylon steps back. He told me I should use Mega because it would be really easy. People could download the folder themselves, and then I dumped them all in there. I didn't sort them forever, and it just became a huge mess. So I spent like one weekend sorting them all. So now you can go through the archive and see all the categories and find the blank templates. There's over
Thank you
2,000.
for your service. So, you want to jump into questions? I got a few kind of like short ones, I think, kind of like lighter ones. So, if you're not a big drugs person, like favorite illegal anything, but so someone asked favorite illegal.
Sorry, it cut out.
Favorite illegal substance, if any.
Favorite illegal substance? Anthrax. No, I'm just kidding. I don't do it.
Nice. Good answer. Good answer.
I'm so sorry, FBI. Don't arrest me.
That's
I don't do any drugs or anything like that. Support it if you do it. I won't judge you.
Well, we're getting fucked. That's a red flag for everyone.
We're done for.
Yeah, another notch on the belt.
I
have one.
Go ahead.
Why did you say you were gonna marry Anglo and not
Oh God.
Boogaloo Brit?
You made me pick one, And I've known Angel.
That's the question. Apparently, people have some interest in it.
Really?
People want to know.
Oh my
literally
god.
have to answer the
So
question.
if you chose one,
I know.
why did you choose Anglo over the Boog?
On seniority.
Seniority?
Yeah, seniority.
That works.
That's a fair answer.
That's hey.
And then he sent a meme and rejected me.
Oh.
Yeah.
He's like that. He's mean spirited.
That was awful. I'm just kidding. It was out of context that I posted that screenshot.
I was like, that is cold. I can't speak to him in good conscience anymore.
Yeah, it was out of context. I just thought it would be funny.
Oh.
Everybody give him a
So
hard
here's
time.
another one. Oh, you have to. Like, we always have to find something. Now that he's not a minicus, we just have to move on to everything else we.
Yeah.
So, I guess this one's probably more in regards to sort of technology and stuff. Where do you predict agorism to flourish in the near future? So that one's kind of a
Yard sarge.
yeah.
Mass adoption of Bitcoin.
Yes. So you think sort of a crypto becoming more accessible to the general public?
Bitcoin becoming more successful.
Bitcoin. Okay.
But yes,
Specifically, yeah.
Are you sponsored? Are you sponsored by Bitcoin?
nobody is sponsored by Bitcoin, and that's the beauty of it.
All right. Next question. So we've talked about this DMing, but has to be answered publicly. The anarchist Empress, isn't that a bit counterintuitive?
Oh my gosh, people ask me that all the time. Yes, but I like the name,
At
and
least-
I'm not changing it. I have brand recognition.
Yeah, that's good to keep. You got to keep it.
It's supposed to sound like impressive meme. It doesn't make it any better. It still sounds pretty cocky, but still, I like it.
At least they weren't asking why espresso meme.
I think that people are going to listen to this podcast and still be like, holy shit, she's a woman.
Probably so.
I've said it
Yeah.
before. I'll say it again. They will accuse you of being a 14-year-old boy, no matter what we say. So, like, you guys have had two 14-year-old boys on your podcast now. What the fuck?
Who's the other?
Like, I don't know what a girl
Skulls
sounds.
and scalps.
Yeah,
Yeah.
skulls.
Outside
I call
of-
her Shooting Gator because she asked me to give her a nickname, and she's Native American, so I decided to be just a little bit racist about it.
Where do we go from that?
The fact that Empress obviously isn't listening to our podcast and doesn't know the other girl we had on.
Wow.
I knew she was on. I listened to her episode to see like how it would be like for me. And that's why I said don't make me introduce myself, because I would be nervous.
Yeah, we did it anyway.
You should have known that was coming, though.
Yeah, I prepared.
I am out of good questions. These are weak, guys. Come on.
Let me see.
Oh, well, how long we got right now?
We're probably round about an hour. So I don't know if we want
How do you not
to
know?
away.
Ask Greg.
Ask Craig. Fedbot, how long do we have left?
Here's one. I know you're big into the prison systems and think they should be abolished. What are your thoughts on the death penalty?
Oh, I'm super against it. It's, by the time
In all cases, including pedophilia, or if someone obviously kills someone.
I am always going to be against state-sanctioned murder, regardless of
Well,
the
states-
circumstances.
In an anarchist community where there is no state, how would you deal with the death penalty? Do you think that it shouldn't be there at all? Even in that.
I talked with my friends about this actually today, like how that would work, and I don't really have an answer for you. They're just, once you get rid of the state's monopoly on that, the market will find a way that works best for everybody.
Yeah, okay. Makes sense.
They won't do so with violence.
Well, okay. I think generally, I don't think we've ever done this before, but I think a good way to wrap this up, kind of like Hot Ones, Imp, go ahead and tell us what you got going on. Go ahead and give yourself a grandest shout out.
A what?
Shout yourself out.
You're on other social media. You got some plugs. You want to tell your Twitter account, or if you got a Facebook
tell us
account?
about yourself. Tell us about tell us why we should follow you.
I share meme templates on Instagram. I have a
Pretty
really cool
much
archive.
daily.
I try to post at least 10 a day. I've slacked a little bit this month just because I haven't really felt like looking for a lot of them.
I forgive you. I don't know everybody else, but I mean, personally, we cool. We good.
So you can find the archive, and you can actually download it. So, like, if I ever disappear from social media, you'll still have that archive because you can.
Oh, the whole thing?
Yeah, all
Yep.
2,500. You could just download it straight to your computer. It's super easy.
That would make my time in court so much more interesting.
Hell yeah. They'd be like, not only did he have all these memes, but he had 2,500 more waiting.
He had an arsenal of memes.
All of a sudden,
Yes.
you're a hate meme dealer. He was passing out the memes.
I think I should call it an arsenal of memes. That's pretty clever.
There you go. I do work in marketing, so yeah, we can have that one for free.
So I post, if you want to learn about cops and propaganda, you could also follow me for that too. I don't post.
Yep.
I post more of that than memes anymore, to be honest.
That's okay.
It's
Yeah,
a good.
no,
I
it's a
enjoy
good-
it. Yeah.
Nobody in
It's a
this
good-
community is complaining.
No, it's a good transition.
Somebody just reached out to me and told me that I could have the Empress of Meme Twitter handle because they had it. She said she would figure out the password and hand that over, so I might be on Twitter.
That's really sweet. Honestly, that means you've got a loyal following. Like, regardless of how small it is, and I'm not saying it's small, I'm just saying if any of you out there have people that are willing to sacrifice things that they have or to create something based on you, you are doing something right. Like, just keep doing what you're doing.
It was really nice. She just messaged me out of the blue, and she ended up being like a civil rights advocate and like a Second Amendment advocate. So she like pretty much we agree on a lot of things. So I thought that was pretty cool because
Yeah, that's awesome.
I knew the handle was
So,
taken, but I didn't know who took it. So I
You
thought
play
that was
you play video games?
cool. I play some Minecraft, and I've played like Breath of
Yeah.
the Wild.
So I mean, officially, could you be considered a gamer girl?
No, please don't.
I think yes, that would help.
Okay.
So yeah,
I-
go ahead and follow Empress of Meme. She's a gamer girl. She's got good memes. She's got good meme templates. I mean, what's not to love? You might as well go ahead and click that follow button.
My friend sells really cool mugs, so you could like go buy a Liberty mug at
Who?
libertymugs.com.
Who's your friend?
Rollo McFlugel.
What?
His name is Rollo McFlugel, and he sells Liberty mugs at libertymugs.com.
All right, good plug. All right, awesome.
They're awesome mugs.
Yes.
Hey BR, you
I
want
don't have many plugs. I'm sorry.
BR, you want to shamelessly plug yourself?
I need to pay my rent, so if you like, I need bourbon, rent money, and bullet money. So if you like stickers that offend bootlickers, Liberty Punk Inc. Link in my bio.
He's got some good stickers. I was looking at him today while I was online trying to buy one of those scarf things.
Oh yeah,
He's
and
got some good shit.
if you want to get rated quicker than usual, start ordering those face masks that have my profile picture's smile on them.
Give them to your friends.
Someday those are going to be listed in history. Like, it'll be a little footnote.
Yep.
It'll be like a little cell of people were captured with these, and they were all found, dead. So,
And then they like do this whole research thing to figure out why all these people are wearing them. and then they'll have a documentary on Netflix 30 years later.
It'll be like, yeah, they'll just laugh at us because we were the bad guys.
We all really appreciate you listening. Go ahead and follow Empress of Meme, Gamer Girl, Meme Queen. I mean, what's not there that you need? Go ahead and give her a follow. Hope you enjoyed the podcast. What the fuck else do I need to say?
I don't know.
I need to tell Craig to fuck off, right?
Yeah.
All right, Craig, fuck off. eMilitia out.